doing this. So I'm like, okay.
He said you doing it. I like Steven. That's why I like Steven. That's why Steven is in the producer role, because he be making stuff happen.
No doubt. I think it's the glasses. I can't really see his eyes straight up. So he just pretty much just looks at me and so I'm like, okay, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. I'll get it done. So I just want to just kudos Mr. Turner. He's definitely your enforcer.
Well, there you go.
What we and again, we appreciate those accolades, because again, he just works behind the scenes. He set this. We have a web page going on, and he's just helping to elevate what we're trying to get done.
Yeah.
And as Crystal said early on, the whole mission is not to create a commercial opportunity for folks, but for folks to be introduced to the resources that are out there. Because
Right.
Chamberlain, as most people will say, they can't find, they don't know, how come I didn't hear about that, and all of that. And so this community briefing really provides them with, you can't say you didn't know. Now, what you did with the information is strictly on you, that type of thing. So thank you for taking the time, because I know right now you're probably crazy with work as well,
Yeah,
But
it's a lot going on, but I think you're right. I think it's information nowadays is it's decentralized, right? I mean, it's
yes,
you have to be somewhat. It's really a gambit, honestly. It's not that you have to be connected; you have to be proactive as well. I mean,
that's it.
in terms of how you go out and get your information, I think all of us got to a point in our careers because we opted to show up.
Yeah,
We went to the events. We shook those hands. We fought traffic, not to go home, but to go to the event, right?
yeah, yeah.
So when you do that over and over again,
Results.
results. What you also don't know you're doing, and what happened for me personally is you're building a reputation for yourself,
Yeah,
and it happens. It happens. You're doing it right,
yeah.
and people are looking at you to and your name starts getting out there, and it's an ongoing discipline. It's really what it is. I mean, not I've seen that from people that have quote unquote made it. They
Yeah.
still have the same.
Name is Gregory Steve, and the recording's in progress. So that's a new feature that I've been hearing.
There are a lot of new features that are happening, so I would suggest everyone download the new version of Zoom, because it's kicking.
Yeah, and it gives you opportunity to exit the meeting. It's like, if you don't want to be recorded, or if you're, you leave now. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for that distraction. So take two. Good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the community briefing. This is Gregory Sneed, and I am a financial coach and financial literacy trainer here in the Southern California area. I help people feel better about their money, because when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. I'll put some information in the chat. So if you'd like to have a schedule a conference to feel better, or if you've got some financial literacy ideas, be happy to chat with you. So next up, we have our queen of the community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
That was so kind of you, Gregory. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here, and it's another Thursday morning at 11 a.m. I'm always looking excited for this one, this particular day. I am Crystal Mitchell. Look at that. We got Edwin Lombard. He hadn't been on for a while. That means there's no conflicting workshops that's happening over at the chamber at 11 a.m. So welcome. And everyone else, our correspondent, Ms. Colette, is here from PCR. So glad to have you. Look at that, Chamberlain. You bringing out the big wigs, man. I am Crystal Mitchell, the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as a business coach and a community stakeholder in our community. I love my Black people, and I love bringing information and knowledge so that we can operate in a timely manner when we make our decisions. I am also the co-host of the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, which broadcasts live every Friday afternoon. And I have a new show called Conversations on the Patio, and we discuss how we retire, which for some of us seems like is never, ever going to happen, but we need to prepare for it in the inevitable that it will happen. So I want to welcome you all. I have a great team. We have a great team. This platform, as Robin has said, that it's here for not just us, it's for you as well. And it's for you to get to know who's doing what in our community, and to also enforce and encourage us to be active to make change in our community. And we can only do that when we know that there's actions going on to make this place a better place. We have a fantastic guest today. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to my other team, the other teammate and co-host, Ms. Robin Billups.
Good morning, guys. So happy to be here as usual. I look forward, like Crystal, so every Thursday having these opportunities to share resources and connections and so that we don't have that question of, why didn't anybody tell me, right? So again, we ask that you invite others to the briefing on a weekly basis. Join as you can. Please take advantage of the resources that are provided. I'm Robin Billups. I'm a business consultant and also a business advisor partner with Pacific Coast Regional. I work with entrepreneurs in order to help them get ready, contract ready. And I also work with corporations in the public and the private sector to respond to their compliance issues. I ran supplier diversity for a Fortune 500 company. I have a construction financing background. And so I'm here to help and I'm here to support. But more importantly, we just want to get started with our wonderful, wonderful platform we have, a presenter we have for today. Thank you.
And Mrs.
Excuse me, one last thing. I'm very remiss. I am the president emeritus for WBENC, Women's Business Enterprise National Council for the Western region. And we have Dr. Pamela Williamson, who's joining us today. And I'd like to give her an opportunity later on in the program to talk about the National Black Business Pitch, which she's partnering with. And we've been sharing across these lines, but she's here. So I'm gonna ask Pamela to get ready, towards the end of our show to be able to add a little bit of context to that or everyone put information that you have in the chat box, because again, that information is documentation for you. Thank you.
Awesome. Mr. Stephen, are you introducing yourself now or later? Okay. All righty. All righty. Well, with that, we're going to, and Ms. Colette, you have something to share with us a little later on? Okay, cool. And Emma, I hear that there's $100,000, $100 million over at the SBA. Are you both talking about that grant that I read about yesterday?
1 second, let me get in. I have two things going on. I got you guys on one computer and I got another one on another. But Colette, are you talking about the navigation?
The Community Navigator
program?
I had not planned to, but I if you would like to, that would be.
No, I don't want to either. Don't, because it's some changes real quick. So I don't want to get you in trouble, but that is going to be something I'll bring to you guys next week, more information, and it's going to be beneficial.
All right.
Thank you so much. What was that, Greg?
All righty. So with that, we're going to go to Greg to introduce our guest, and welcome.
So it is our pleasure to welcome Chamberlain Duru to the community briefing today. Chamberlain is the Business Affairs Manager at Los Angeles World Airports, also known as LAWA. He is a graduate of Hampton University, although I know it as Hampton Institute.
Wow, okay.
And I've actually been to the campus, and I was there for Hampton's homecoming. Oh my gosh, probably early 80s. So, late 70s even. Okay, so he started off at Wells Fargo. He's assistant branch manager, then promoted to a senior business banking specialist. He served as vice president of the LAX Coastal Area Chamber of Commerce. And he is now a business affairs manager with a strong advocate of entrepreneurship, applicable formal education, and business community awareness. He helps business owners, both small, medium, and large, maximize their potential within his market areas. Please join me in welcoming Chamberlain Duru.
Thank you, Mr. Sneed. It's a pleasure. Thank you for being such a gracious host. And I want to first applaud all of you for being who you are, honestly. I think I've met a few of you along my career path over the last couple of years. I see my good friend Colette Moore. Good to see you. We were talking before the forum started, this Crystal Mitchell with Recycling Black Dollars. I think we met, I want to say 6 years ago, somewhere in that ballpark. So it's great to see you as someone who really walked the talk, and I really appreciate all of your work that you're doing, as well as Ms. Billups. I'm not sure if that's you met formally, but your reputation precedes you. Ken and I are good friends, and congrats to him on his new opportunity. He's going to be doing some amazing things. I look forward to working with him. He actually called me and said, "Hey, got this opportunity. What do you think?" I said, I think you should do it. It's great. It's a great opportunity." So, I mean, kudos to him and his efforts. He's always been about it. So, I know I'm here amongst peers and family. So, we're just here to talk a little bit about LAWA, kind of what's happening at the airport. Talk about our division, what we're doing over here for equity, for contractors, and talk a little bit about upcoming opportunities and events. And I think Steve asked some questions regarding things that may be happening over in Inglewood, and then happy to fill any questions I can that you guys may have. So, so as Gregory Sneed, you said LAWA, right? You said LAWA, right? You kind of expressed that out, and I want to talk about that for a quick second because there's LAWA and then there's LAX, and sometimes people are not aware that there's a difference in the two. So if you're unaware, LAWA, LA World Airports, is a division of the city that actually runs the airport. Okay, so we're not on the same level. We're not on the same, talk to American Airlines or Delta Airlines. We do, but it's not the same thing all together. So for those that maybe ask me sometimes, I cannot get you free tickets on Delta. I cannot get you free tickets on different airlines. So please don't ask me for that kind of thing. It's highly inappropriate across the board anyway. But just wanted to make sure I kind of did that. So we also manage Van Nuys Airport as well as property up in Palmdale. So all those three airports combined creates the umbrella of LA World Airports. It was called Department of Airports, but we thought that the acronym of DOA may not be the best advantageous thing to use when you're flying on an airplane. So there you have LA World Airport. So I thought it's a little fun fact to get things going here. Like any other aviation-based firm or organization, we are recovering from what has been probably the toughest year on record for flying. Prior to COVID, we were breaking records for the last 5 to 6 years in terms of our overall passenger traffic. So to kind of give you some numbers, so in 2019, we serviced over 88 million passengers. In 2020, we served 28 million passengers. So it's a huge dip, obviously, in flying as it should have been. Obviously, we want people to be safe, but definitely has immediate impacts on our bottom line and our ability to produce money for the city. We are a proprietary agency, like the Department of Water and Power or the Port of Los Angeles. We are here to generate money for the city of Los Angeles. So our inability to do that as a lack of flights and people traveling obviously has an immediate and long-term impacts. So we are in recovery mode, not just in personnel wise, but also our policies and making sure that we can kind of build back to a better airport one day at a time. We are encouraged so far this year. We're seeing some positive trends in overall guest traffic. We are projected to see a pretty strong Memorial Day weekend coming up. Please wear your mask as you are coming. If you do have plans to travel this upcoming weekend, you're flying out, please, we do have our guidelines and policies that you must wear a mask when you're on airport property. We are also obviously very proactive in making sure that we are doing all that we can to provide vaccines and COVID testing in and around the airport. So one of our first priorities is always to make sure that we are providing a safe traveling experience for all of our people looking to kind of get on a plane coming to or from Los Angeles. So with all that being said, obviously, if you've been in and around the LAX area, you see a lot of construction. It's more of a construction site than an airport nowadays. The catalyst behind all of that is our automated people mover, which is the 50-foot elevated guide rail in and around the airport. It kind of snakes in and around the terminal area, the big horseshoe, and kind of goes through the LAX area, ending over here at our Conrad facility, which is going to be the largest rental car facility in the country, top buildings in the world, actually, as far as square footage. So we're very, very excited about that. Both of those projects are set to be delivered to the city in 2023. The APM project, just so you know, was a $4.9 billion project the largest city contract in the history of Los Angeles. So with that being said, with that particular contract and others like it in that same ballpark, there was a huge push to make sure that it wasn't just about the same old business as usual, that we had to make sure that we are engaging and encouraging and enacting and enforcing policies in and around inclusivity, ensuring that we are maximizing the full potential of our small business community in and around the airport impact area, as well as LA County. So, with those contracts, inclusivity, inclusivity is going to be a big part of what we do, in all of our contracts, whether it be small contracts, medium, or smaller contract coming out of LAWA. So I want to spend just a few moments talking about certifications. I know we probably beat this horse to death over the last couple of years, but I just want to say a few quick things about it, and we can move on. We accept, if you are looking to perform work at the airport, we are looking to accept the SBE certifications, the LBE certifications, disadvantaged business enterprise certifications, DBEs, disabled veteran certifications, that's our DVBEs. Another particular one is our airport concession disadvantaged business enterprise. We'll talk about airport concessions later on during our talk today. But those are the major certifications that we accept over here at the airport. It's a big thing for us because we have to make sure that we are counting all the firms that we are activating, not just us directly with LAWA, but if you wanted to work also with LAWA directly as a prime, or if you want to be a subcontractor or consultant to one of our prime contractors, we want to make sure we are counting all these firms because it helps us create policy. That's why we're always on you guys about making sure certifications, yes, you're a certified firm. Certifications allow us to count, which allow us to create policy, which allows us to also create the goals in the contracts. So it's not for nothing. We want to make sure you guys are counted and we can kind of maximize all that we can in and around the small business community for our projects. So it's a little bit about LAWA. So we are building our various construction projects here. We have things going on with our terminal projects. We have things going on with our airside and runway projects. We're happy to say we have delivered the new, used to be called the Midfield Satellite Concourse. Now it's called the West Gates at Tom Bradley. This is an extension of our Tom Bradley terminal for our international travelers. We are anticipating that to bounce back over some period of time, but it's a beautiful facility. And we are now starting to see certain airlines use it. And it opened up about 2 weeks ago, and we're very, very proud of that. It's a beautiful facility, great terminal, and when time is right, you'll see it and you'll be amazed as well. So yeah, full steam ahead when it comes to our capital projects at the airport. So I want to talk a little bit about our division, our business, job, and social responsibility division here at LAWA, a division that is crafted primarily to ensure that we are enforcing policy, that we are engaging our small businesses, that we are providing some kind of navigation to those firms that want to do business with our airport and our partners. So we launched this in 2018. That's how I got to LAWA as a part of this division. So a lot of you may know Amber Mishak as well, our director, an incredible leader for our group. She is my direct boss and lead. So we were the first two to come over. Now we have a team of, I want to say around 12 people that are getting up every day thinking about ways that we can kind of engage and make sure that inclusivity and just general business practices are performed well with all of our contract, as well as representing LAWA in various forms like what we're doing right now. So we're going into our third or fourth year. Time flies dramatically, but we're very excited and energized that we can still meet with you guys virtually and with full expectation to meet with you guys in person when it's safe to do so. So some of our key pillars within our business and jobs division, obviously, is business navigation and support. When you approach LAX, we're a monster of an organization. LAWA is a big, city division. So where do you start? Where do you go to find out if your services will be needed, or or at what point will certain things be procured, or where are the jobs, where are the small business contracting opportunities? So our division is kind of there to help first be a navigator towards opportunity. Also making sure that we are providing the right inclusivity language in all of our contractual RFPs that go out. Making sure that, is it a 10% goal, is it a 12% requirement, making sure we get rid of the word goal and put in the word requirement, especially for our local programs. And also making sure that how are we impacting our federal programs as well. So, LAWA is the airport is one place where we have both local city-based ordinances, and we also have federal ordinances and policies put by us, by the FAA, to make sure we are enforcing those. So when it comes to, like, let's say paving our runways or getting small businesses inside of our terminals, that is a FAA regulation. If we do not hit those goals, then LAWA is out of compliance. If it is a local, local project that we are procuring from the city of LA, then it's a local program. So it's just a little distinction between a federal program and a local program, but it does mean a lot in terms of how we go about enforcing those policies for the project. Always want to make sure that we are developing our contractors, and if they know what they're walking into when it comes to performing work at the airport. We don't want anybody to go out of business performing work at the airport. It's going to be the opposite. We want you to understand kind of what you're walking into. I viewed one of your past shows, and you had Kevin Ramsey speaking about how he's spending more time on paperwork than he did out in the field, right? I think that is absolutely the truth. Is that we must ensure that you guys know all the ins and outs of the paperwork aspects of it, just as you know your own craft out in the field, because it's in that paperwork that is really the foundation of your business and doing work at any kind of federal agency or any major organization, making sure that your contractual obligations and you are meeting those requirements, and that they're also holding true to you. It's absolutely the truth for us. So we want to make sure that you guys know what you're walking into, you're prepared for it, you have the capital for it, the knowledge for it, you're bonded, and you're ready to go, so that you can kind of really have a great experience at the airport. And then we can also refer you at other projects happening simultaneously. Something we just recently launched as of this month, actually, is our Contracting Finance and Assistance Program. This is a program that we're working with our partners over at Merriweather-Williams. Some of you may know Ingrid Merriweather, who is a true champion of small business. We have recognized that there is a huge gap in the ability for small local firms, primarily, firms of color, to acquire capital to perform work at the airport. Not just perform work, but activate yourselves for the work, sustain yourself throughout the course of the job, and then follow through with when it comes down to closeout. Most traditional banks don't understand contracting, don't want anything to do with it, but you need to have capital to perform these projects. And we often hear so many times that contractors, consultants leverage themselves to get the capital to perform these jobs. And in doing so, some of those firms, put themselves in a true bind because they can't get the money, from, their prime or some kind of holdup or whatever may have you. So this project is something that we're looking to launch, working with PACE, a local CDFI, to put up some capital, and we're going to work this thing out to where the contractor can pretty much, to make it super short, the contractor uses their contract as the real vehicle behind getting money from the actual provider. And so they don't touch the money goes right to their prime contractor, and it kind of works that way. Just to kind of be quick with it right now, but we're very excited about it. It's a pilot program, so we're going to try it for a year, kind of see what happens with it. But it's our first step in really kind of addressing the huge gap and trying to establish financing for contractors. Always working with our workforce. How are we empowering youth to kind of get involved with these jobs? How are we, counting the numbers of people that are being employed for these projects? A lot of these projects do have a PLA involved with them. So how are we enforcing those? How are we hiring from within our immediate areas and also LA County. How are we creating apprenticeship programs? How are we actually, bring on interns, getting people involved with the city? It's also one of our key functions as a division. And then obviously targeted outreach when we have certain opportunities. So when we have opportunities that are major or targeted, how are we engaging and how are we actually creating awareness behind those particular roles and opportunities for jobs that are airport related. So I just want to just kind of jump real quick into some upcoming procurement opportunities that you may have an interest in doing. And these are kind of things to be estimated to come out later this year. So I'd be happy to answer any questions I can regarding them. They do come from different divisions, so my overall knowledge may be somewhat limited as to the details behind it, but at least you can kind of be aware of what's happening as far as upcoming opportunities. So next month, for those that have a background in IT, we will be having a project management IT RFP come out. We're looking at possibly mid to late June for that. So again, that's project management IT. Also one that's coming out regarding mass communication systems for summer this year. On-call special investigations for this summer. Employee coaching, we're looking at for fall of later this year. Health and wellness for later this year as well. We're looking at summer around maybe July, August. And also terminal concessions. So I want to come back full circle to terminal concessions. So I get a lot of questions about, how can I sell my product or service in the terminals? I want to sell, food. I want to sell T-shirts. I want to sell, I remember when a mask came out, people wanted to sell masks in the terminals. There's a lot going on. It's a very hard environment to navigate. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. LAWA actually subs out management for half of our terminals to a firm called URW. Some of you may know it as Westfield. Westfield is, if you know Westfield, they're the ones that kind of run the malls, right? So if you go to Corpus City Mall, they run that, or they run the mall, I think, also in Century City as well, right? So that same general firm runs half of our actual terminals at the airport. So they're the ones that actually decide, okay, how are we going to maximize certain spaces? What is our balance between food and beverage versus retail, so on and so forth? So they're the ones that say, okay, well, we're going to put out what we call a CEP, which is a competitive evaluation process, saying that we're going to have X amount of spaces come up, and we're going to put it out there. And we want to have 3 restaurants and a retail establishment. We want to have 2 restaurants and 2 retail establishments, or they want to have a kiosk, or whatever may have you. They develop those CEPs and they put them out. So we're actually going to have one come out. We're looking at June 8th as the actual time where it's coming out. It's going to be for terminals 3, and then later this year in fall this year there'll be spaces for terminals 2 and terminal 3. Still getting the details kind of worked out. So as soon as I can, I'll forward it to you, Stephen, to kind of share with the group so you can have more information about that. But we think it's going to be a very, very important. Now, obviously, and I'm speaking to food and beverage right now, over the last year, outside of aviation, nobody's been hit harder than restaurants. Nobody's been taken brunt of just all this heavy lifting and all this, economic uncertainty more than restaurants. And so, one ask that I have with you guys kind of going forward is, if you know of a well-established, well-run, capitalized, they don't have to be local here. Maybe they're a national firm, maybe in different states. But if you know of any that you think would be a good match for LAX, we'd love to kind of know about them. We want our terminals to represent Los Angeles. We don't want them to be just a whole lot of chain restaurants. They would need to be a certified airport concessions disadvantaged business enterprise, or ACDBE. So you can go to our website, find out more about that. But it's also very hard to find, strong retail based firms that we feel can be great at the airports. The average, now it is a commitment. It is hard and it takes a lot of capital up front. I'm not gonna lie about that. The leases are around 10 years coming out the box. They need to budget for about $1,200 per square foot at the minimum. It's probably closer to $1,500, actually, to be honest with you. They need to be aware that the guest traffic is going to be a little, it's going to be slow until we get back to where we were pre-pandemic. So, again, it goes back to the capital aspect of it. Can you have the ability to hire people? It's been tough to hire folks to get back to, in any service jobs that we all need for our society and our economy. So it doesn't have to be any times in the immediate future, but we do want to start to kind of really build a strong database of firms that you think would be a good fit for this. Do you want to have those conversations? Do you want to start to create a pipeline of firms? Maybe they're not ready now, but maybe they will be ready, let's say in 3 to 4 years from now. Again, we are preparing not just for today, but we have today, we have Super Bowl coming up, and in February we have in the big show, the Olympics coming up in 2028. So we want to make sure that by the time that kind of rolls around, that this whole LAX economy over here, which incorporates hospitality, restaurants, on and off the airport businesses are prepared for what's coming. We think, we believe this is going to be an incredible opportunity, but we don't want to mislead anybody. We don't want to tell anybody that it isn't. It's something that's not. We want you to be prepared for it. But if you do have an interest in airport concessions, be more than happy to come back and do a focus on that, as well as my counterpart that works for URW as well, and kind of give you some more information about that. But we know that the African American restaurant owner segment of our economy has been hit very, very hard. So we don't take that lightly, but we do want to make sure that for those that do have an interest, for those that do have resources, it's a great time to kind of learn about it and kind of figure out if it's the right move for you. Those remarks, just kind of want to make sure that Steve asked me to say a few things about Inglewood. So I am also the chairman of the board for the Inglewood Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot happening around Inglewood. It's a big push if you are an Inglewood-based firm that's looking for opportunity regarding contracting. I would totally have you out to look at the IBEC project. That's Inglewood Basketball and Entertainment Center. The Clip Arena project, for the most part, is a huge push for Inglewood-based companies to be a part of that project in various aspects. So it's not. I don't believe it's just limited to construction. If you're also a supplier, I would definitely kind of reach out and kind of figure out if your services will be needed. The primary person for that, his name is Roger Fisher. Again, I'll follow up with Stephen to get that information out to the audience. Roger's a great guy, and he's also kind of put it on me to kind of say, hey, whatever firm you think would be open to kind of being part of the project, let us know. We'll have to kind of talk about what we have going on. They have various open houses and open calls about opportunities happening in and around Inglewood. What's also on the upcoming burner is the Inglewood Transit Corridor project, ITC project. This is the project that's going to be connecting. It's pretty much the Hollywood Park to, I believe it's the Crenshaw line. And so it's going to go aerial, kind of above Market Street. If you are familiar with Inglewood, it's not quite ready to hit the streets, the RFP, but they have done some of the EIR stuff on it, the environmental information background on that now. So it's still kind of coming together. But again, if you are someone who work in the public sector, it's so very, very important that you do your homework on these projects and figure out kind of exactly who the team is, how to gather information way before the RFP ever comes out. That's another discipline that we have, that I want to make sure we talk about as well. So with that, I can kind of stop there and just pause for reaction or if you have any questions. I definitely want to make sure I answer your questions as I possibly can. I know I threw a lot at you just now, but it just kind of, it's a lot going on, not just with the LAX, but with happening around the city.
I think that's absolutely, wow, a lot of stuff going on at the airport. And I do know, I have a girlfriend that was the HR manager for one of the concessions for Chick-fil-A and a couple others, and they actually had to shut down everything. And they had just kind of got started over there. So fantastic. There are some questions. Robin, did you want to field some of the questions?
Yeah, one of the questions that I had, I really appreciate you talking about the difficulty and the challenges and what have you. But I think that what's critically important is to share with the audience about, how do we get to meet the prime? Because these prime suppliers are the ones that are guiding who gets in the queue. And then the other thing that I want you to talk about, and again, it may just be information that's on the website, but just at a high level, talk about the vetting and the pre-quals that may be required to even get on the mailing list in order to be invited.
Yeah, great question. So regarding your Meet the Primes question, I think we'll take some responsibility for that from LAWA. We should probably have more events, honestly, when it comes to Meet the Primes. The primes per project have their own outreach events. Each prime does it a bit differently. Mm-hmm. And LAWA, honestly, Robin, we lean in sometimes and sometimes we don't. And I'm not sure that's how that should be an ongoing discipline, but we put it on them. So when they submit their bids to us or RFPs to us, whatever may have you, they tell us what they're going to do to engage contractors per that particular project. And we just say, have you done it yet? When are you going to do it? Let's tell you promote it, right? Some do it virtually. Some have the overall events. I think going forward, to have the major events personally, I'm not quite sure how effective they always are. I think we could probably get more done with more of a targeted approach. So engagement overall, I think is going to transform me. My personal opinion, it's going to be transforming, not just from, and also LAWA, how we have engaged over the last year has changed. I think everybody's kind of taking a virtual approach now in terms of how we can get in front of the actual people who make decisions on if someone is open to make a decision. Now, you asked about the prequels. Again, it's on the prime as well. The primes on the project, the primes say, okay, we're going to do a prequel, and then we have some primes that don't, because they don't want to say, well, we don't want to exclude anybody, but it didn't meet a certain box. And check a box right, so we're going to exclude you from the whole process, right? Our approach is we want to make sure that what are you doing right now to maximize the hit numbers, right? The hit numbers regarding all of your required, we call them XBE, which is pretty much the combination of our small and local programs. And then how are you, and then who are, not just that, but who is in charge for engagement per project, per prime? Because we have to keep in mind with we have multiple projects happening at the same time. And then with each project, you have a prime. And with each prime, you have a whole tier 2 of subcontractors. And you know this, Robin, and then tier 3 and tier 4 and so on and so forth. So it's almost, so, we have to manage the data more than anything else. So that's why it become back to, are you hitting numbers and how are you hitting them? What's your approach? What is it going to be before you get the contract? And then once you get the contract, okay, if you're going to do an outreach event, how are you going to do it? Let's help you promote it. And we have some firms that do a great job of doing that. They're very experienced. That's why they got the opportunity. They have good reputations. They sponsor certain events. We have some primes that, maybe some problem. They're a problem child. You have to kind of read up a little bit more closely, and then asking those kind of questions regarding, how are you doing a prequal? You're not doing a prequal. What is your overall approach? So it's a collection of a lot of different projects, different primes, but for the most part, as long as they're tracking in the right direction, as long as they are hitting their goals, as long as they can prove to us that they are being transparent with their opportunities and how they're engaging people, then we don't have a problem. For other projects, we have to kind of make sure, okay, where are these issues? How do we lean in, and kind of go from there. So I wish I had more of a clear answer for you on that question, but engagement, I think, is going to be somewhat a variable kind of going forward in terms of how firms are choosing to do it. But once they commit to those goals, once we craft that RFP and we give that 15% or 10% number for inclusivity, you got to hit the goal. Got to hit that number. It's not a goal. It's a contractual requirement. You're out of compliance if you're not hitting those goals or on track to hit those goals.
I really appreciate your feedback, and to your point, engagement is the critical piece. And when I talk about vetting and or selecting, I think people appreciate the transparency process, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not qualified, then tell me what I'm missing. It's that kind of feedback that these companies have the experience of doing, but they don't have to do it if who they're working for isn't on top of them about that. And then one last thing that I will say is it's at the end of the day, nobody's thinking about who the prime is. They're looking at LAWA, right? How is LAWA putting this out, and what what kind of reputational risk and or character building and branding are you building? So, again, one of the other questions we have in our chat box, one of our regular members, very, very active with the community briefing, very active in the community, Ardina is a world-renowned artist. And one of the questions I said to her to ask, talk about the idea, not only does she want to be able to sell art, but how can she find the primes who are looking, even when you talk about a Westville managing, she'd love to be able to do an exhibit. She does some exceptional work when it comes to restoration of those sepia tones and the black and white pictures that we all have in those photo albums that we took from our parents, right? Yeah. And so her question is, how does she make that connection?
Her question is right on target, man. We're actually working on an RFP right now. It's not quite out yet, but it's an art, quite honestly. And it's a pretty good number contract. So what I want to do, I can't talk much because it's not out yet, obviously. What I will do is, if you can follow up with me personally, we can definitely talk about the best way of going about doing that. Now, I'm not quite sure exactly how it's going to be procured out.
Certainly.
Art's one of those things, for city people, it's kind of how we do this, but it is going to be done. So your question is right on. The timing is phenomenal. So if you can follow with me directly, if the team can pass along my email address to her directly, I will share as much as I possibly can regarding that. Again, but I think that is coming out, like our other ones that are coming out. It's not. I don't think I have enough information right now to say with full confidence of when but we were just reviewing some stuff, some pipeline stuff internally, and art was on that agenda. So please, email me directly. We'll talk about it. Give me a call next week. We got some conversations, and at least what I can try and do is kind of give you some background, maybe how it's going to be procured, and what would be the general qualifications of somebody who would like to actually bid on something like that.
Michael Banner has a question. I know you mentioned that the rents range anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 a square foot. Mm-hmm. Michael's question is, are LAX concession rents still based on air traffic or sales revenue?
Oh man, I think all factors apply. I think obviously what's been kind of the internal conversation is equity in a sense, right? We have big firms that pay a certain amount for a square foot, mm-hmm. and then we have small firms that we have to have in there. Again, we have to make sure that we carve out a niche for our airport concessions. Again, disadvantaged business enterprise program. This is per the FAA policy. Again, if we're not hitting that guideline, then it's the law is out of compliance. We have a vested interest in making sure that we have a pool of people that are able to do it. But the question then comes into place where are the costs going to be the same? So we have a big firm that has locations all around the world, and then we have a small firm that has their one location at our airport. Do we charge them the same amount of money to operate in the airport? Right? So it's like storage fees, for example, per square foot. They both pay the same thing. Now, is that equitable, right? Or is it, or what if it's not equitable, then what would be the proper approach to use for a small firm versus a large firm? That's why I kind of that's why having capital, making sure we fit the right type of company in there is imperative, because we don't want these firms to not be in business again. This is a 10-year, still a 10-year lease, right? Now you may have your own, you may be an independent operator, you may be part of a joint venture where you're working with or a sub to a larger firm. But in terms of the overall cost of operating in the airport, I say that number to you because that's what you have to prepare for, between that $1,200 to $1,500 per square foot. Not to mention, if you want to be in food and beverage, how do you get your food in and out of the airport? Are you going to store it? What's going to be your price per item? These are the reasons why. These are the reasons why everything costs so much in the airport, right? When you go out, you buy, a burger, you're paying almost $20 versus whatever you're paying, out here on the street. That's why, so you can charge up to 18%, above the street in the terminals to kind of make up for your higher cost of operating terminals. But then you get to a point where it's like, well, man, how much are you gonna charge for a cheeseburger? It's like, yeah. So we have to make sure that we have some equity in there, and a lot of that kind of comes into where, how can we manage costs, right? And they also have, and then remember, it's an airport job, so you gotta pay them airport wages, right? And then those same employees have to, they have to get here to the airport, they have to park the vehicles, take a bus into the actual terminals. So they have to be ready to go for work an hour before they get to the job. So these kind of things are things you have to kind of be aware of. So we want people to be, knowledgeable and build the capacity of the airport environment before you walk in, because it may not be for you. Now it takes, and I'll share this also, if it's a 10-year lease, depending upon who you are, what you do, your background, you have to budget also, to operate at a loss for your first probably 5-6 years. And people I've spoken with don't see profit till year 7.
Wow.
But that's not an uncommon thing if we're talking about, capital projects. You're not going to make your money. It's a long-term thing, right? You're not going to, so you're looking for a quick profit. Maybe the brick and mortar on the street is probably more for what you're looking to do, which is fine by me. Again, I used to be a banker. You do what's best for your particular situation, before you go and try to play ball over here, in the airports, because you will lose your shirt. I've seen it happen, and it's a sad thing. But and then then you also are beholden to passenger traffic, right? It's not like you can go out there and put a banner up in front of Terminal 3. you have to be okay with where you are. You also have to know the travel patterns of those airlines. You're not going to put a fine dining place in Terminal 2 or Southwest, because that type of customer doesn't go through there. So you have to know your audience. You have to know what's going on. The safety and the protocols have changed dramatically because of COVID. So quick to serve products, the delivery products, are going to be more of the advantageous approach versus the sit down and dine in method. So these types of things have to be kind of considered if you're looking to sell a product or whatever you may want, or service in the airport. It's just over the last year, the game has changed so much But again, we want to create pipelines of people so that you're building your capacity. You understand what's going on. You can put your bid in properly, so that you go into it with your eyes wide open and you're ready for whatever's coming. But that's what we're looking for concessions. So again, don't want to scare anybody away, but at the same time, we got to keep it real. At the same time.
So Chamberlain, so Bianca has a question and Greg has a question, but quickly. So do you guys, now that you're, we're coming back eventually after the pandemic, do you actually have meetings or workshops or on how to actually do, because that's a lot for people just to pull off the internet. They got to literally be able to sit down and walk through that whole process and look, because that's a business plan all by itself.
Yeah, you're right. It's we do have some workshops, but we have doing business with LAWA workshop every first Wednesday of the month, but it doesn't begin to scratch the surface of what you need to know if you're looking to kind of go towards sessions or any avenue. It's a start, right? It's pretty much like, this is what we do, and it's just kind of how we do it, but it's not so much a deep dive that you need. It's kind of like, if I wanted to be the president of Recycling Black Dollars, can I go to a forum and learn about that?
No.
Right. You have to be all the way in, right? You have to. Yeah. It takes a lot of time to kind of learn your craft, learn the people, understand what it takes, and kind of go from there. So with any major business endeavor, you got to put your time in, and that's pretty much where we want to start. For LAWA, what we need to do is make sure we have those programs in place, or have those people in place to kind of help navigate you. Now, with most of our concessionaires, they were brought into the business by people who have been in the business for a long time. So it wasn't like they kind of went on this official, school of concessions or school of contracting. They learned this through day-to-day activities. They worked in the business. They had a personal interaction and with the business itself. So it was kind of a person-to-person kind of thing. So we're trying to kind of formalize that in a sense. We're trying to make sure that if you did have a service or a product you want to sell at the airport, then is there a pathway for you? So that's all we're trying to do, is create that pathway. And it's challenging because LAWA has lost a lot of people also due to early retirement as a result of COVID. So trying to replace those folks who have been there for X number of years and who know the ins and outs of it, those people are irreplaceable. So we have to kind of rebuild as we say around here, rebuild the plane as we fly it, those kind of programs. So, but again, I'm here to kind of share awareness of it. And help, but I need your help also in creating the pathways. This is one of them also, just getting it out there, getting people interested in the program, and then we kind of work from there.
Fantastic. It's on you, Greg. You got to take off mute.
I was clicking it wouldn't go. So a couple of things. One, Chamberlain, if you will share with us your contact information, so folks have some information. So an important question for you. Mm-hmm. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh.
That's my hometown. I was born in West Texas. My father is Nigerian. My mom is from DC. So it had me in Texas. And then my mother moved my sister and I to North Carolina. Grew up there, and then again went to Hampton University, or HIU as you were saying. Got done with Hampton, and then came out to LA about 9 months after that.
Cool. Well, welcome to Los Angeles.
Awesome.
Been a little while. Thanks.
Fantastic, man. Just so much information. We have to have you come back as things are rolling out. Because it seems like one has to have you might have to be a correspondent like Colette.
Okay. No, whatever you guys need. I mean, I think this is a great forum again. I'm sorry if I was long-winded in my answers. But as you guys have questions, feel free to email me directly with any question. That's my job. Yeah, whatever you guys need, let me know.
Fantastic. So with that, we're going to switch over to Miss Colette. She's going to give us an update. Want to say hello to Joe. He's here. We got Joe and Edwin. Wow. So Colette, share.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And so great to see you all. Chamberlain, thanks for such great information and keeping it real in terms of the requirements to get into into LAWA and LAX. Not an easy gig. We're always advising people start small. Start with some of the smaller contracts and find those so that you can be prepared for some of these much bigger ones. So I know that we are tight on time, so I'm going to just go very quickly this morning. So wanted to share with you guys just kind of the current status of the funding and the federal funding. So I know that Emma's on the line. EIDL is still open for applications. It is scheduled to close December 31st, but if you have not applied for this very great loan for small businesses, then you should find out more about it. We can help you with that at PCR SBDC and help you to apply and minimize some of the mistakes. People have been trying to apply for additional funds. Our clients have, we've only seen a couple that have gotten additional funds so far. So if you have not applied already for first draw for this, then you should make sure to do that. Then for the PPP, it closes officially May 31st, and it was only into CDFIs. However, most CDFIs have stopped servicing. So PCR, PPP, our application ended on Friday to give us time to process and get the applications into the SBA. But before coming on, I did get a list from some of our advisors of these are 4 other potential PPP lenders that are still accepting applications. So this is it basically. There's no additional funding, but these lenders are either CDFIs or submitting into some national type CDFIs. So please use this list, and I'll drop this in so that you guys can get all of these links. But no one on this call should be on the late freight for PPP. So this is only for you to share with those other people that didn't already apply, right? Because all the people on this call, you all knew the deadlines, and so you knew everything was coming. But please share this with others that are coming on. And then I wanted to share, we are still doing the PPP forgiveness. That is a loan that with forgiveness is a grant. But if you have not applied forgiveness, time is now. Make sure that you get your forgiveness right away. Most banks have opened up the forgiveness portal. You want to get the forgiveness because otherwise you'll end up with a loan. That is not the objective of this this instrument on the PPP. It is a grant once you do all the things correctly and submit your paperwork.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
PPP, this is so important. If you are applying for forgiveness, please make sure the amount that you indicate that you want to be forgiven for, you put that in. If you had, just for an example, $500,000 and you put $50,000, it's a done deal. You cannot go back and correct it. And you will be, that difference will turn into a loan. You cannot, the SBA can't do it, the lending institution can't do it, you can't file bankruptcy. So just be very careful once you submit and it's forgiven, make sure you're submitting the correct amount.
Great. And please work, you can work with our advisors. We are training on this until everyone has received the forgiveness. So we'll be training on this for the next several months, but I encourage everyone on the call that got either first or second draw to submit their applications now and to get some help because it is a little complicated. So thank you, Emma. And we don't want people to make mistakes and then be, not get the full amount. So Thank you for bringing that up. I did want to mention the restaurant revitalization fund that ended on Monday. There were like 3 times the number level of dollars that have already been submitted. So that is already closed. The SBOG is still open. We have had a couple of clients submit this, but we haven't heard anybody that received it yet. And I think because of the complicated nature of this. So last thing, I just have a couple of grants that I wanted to share. One is this NAV Small Business Grant, and it is up to $10,000. It requires some social media activity, but, and the round already opened, the grant closes on the 31st. So if you can do social media, put some information out there, do a quick video, this is a great grant for you. Then I found this other one. So for food and beverage companies, there's a Stacy's Rise project. That one closes July 9th. Again, that's 10,000 for up to 10 business owners. And then there's this Halstead grant, and that is for jewelry makers, and mostly silver jewelry makers, but that's coming up August 1st, and that's an annual grant. The Amber grant for women, how many women on the call have applied for that grant? Okay, so some of you have, great. Hoping that you will get this, because that is a monthly grant. And so that ends on May 31st as well. And then there was a Chick-fil-A for some of the nonprofits, and then that SoCal Black Founder Startup Grant as well. I can't remember the amount of that. So that is, those are all the grants. And for financial fitness, just wanted to share, this one was from one of our advisors. Our financial results are often a mirror to the decisions we make. When business owners are struggling, that is the time they need to face their fears. So we're not scared, Chamberlain. We're going to face our fears and scrutinize every expense and decision. Face your financial situation head on. Ask for help, even if you may feel embarrassed. There are people on this call that can help you get your finances in order for your business so that you can go forward into the future. So we do have workshops, and they're not all listed here because I just ran out of time, but you can find them at pcrsbdc.org under workshops. And I will drop this presentation link into the chat right now, and you can reach us here. So thank you all for the time today. Hope you are able to get some of these grants, and I look forward to hearing some good news about getting the money and all the forgiveness as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Send that over to me and I'll make sure that gets blasted out. Wow. Thank you, Colette. Robin, you were going to talk about next month, and Stephen about who's coming next, because next month is Music Month. And boy, do these two people have some amazing stuff happening in June.
We are uber excited about June being Black Music Month, and certainly we're looking for individuals who, again, can not only provide, a little bit of background about what they do and how they do, but how do they impact the community. And so we're kicking it off with a young lady who grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Wonka is the senior curator at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, but she started one of the places that she started her career is the Grammy Museum here in LA. And then we have Kevin Nash from KJLH has created a broadcast academy that he's running here in Inglewood with youth, teaching them how to work in the broadcast arena. And, and also too, he's a musician. And then we also have Karen A. Clark, who you guys have heard from before. She's a banker with City National Bank. She's multicultural marketing with them, but she also is an entertainer, spoken word, theater, jazz, and blues, and the Karen A. Clark Project. And we have one more confirmation that we're waiting for from a university professor. So we think that we've balanced out who's going to be presenting. It's going to be fun, it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be touting, our role in the music industry. And I'm excited about it. Stephen?
Yes, next week, please join us, same time on the 11th. And again, I'd like to close. Thank you, Chamberlain, for coming on the air. My name is Stephen Turner. I'm the managing principal of the Slayton Group. Business insurance will do workers' comp, general liability, and small group insurance. Also, Joe Ruzan from the Vermont South Carolina Development Center. He'll announcement next week, and please stay tuned. And Mr. Ruzan will let you know about that. Again, thank you for the community briefing. Crystal, I'd like to close it up.
Fantastic, guys. So thank you guys so much. I do have a little something to brag about. My kids that are in the entrepreneur program, and for those of you that have youth between the ages of 13 and 18, Biz Camp applications are going on right now. We're also looking for mentors and speakers for the kids. It starts in July. We don't need you for the whole month of July, but for an hour or two to share your knowledge and expertise with our kids. But I do want 5 of our kids took first, second, third, and 2 honorable mentions for the Union Bank YEC Challenge a month ago, early part of this month. But one of the young ladies, her name, who was second place, she just competed in the Nifty LA Regional competition, LA Metro Regional, and she took second place. And now she's going to the Nationals. So she is going to be competing for $18,000. We are so excited for this young lady, and she'll use this money to continue on launching her business, which is called Curly Crowns, and it's a hair care system for kids. She's 15 years old. We're just so enthused and so excited about her. So we would love to have you guys participate in summer for our summer camp. And so if you're looking for that information, go over to the Los Angeles Urban League. This is a partnership I do with the Urban League, and under Biz Camp, and volunteer. Robin has done it. A couple of others have done it. It's an awesome experience, and we have to support our youth for the future. So it's one of the most rewarding things that I do in my professional life. So Chamberlain, thank you so much. Please free to come back, tell everybody, refer some great people from your organization, because you guys have so much going on. And I'd love to have someone come in and tell me why we're gonna have 2 casinos in Inglewood. I'd like to know that answer. And so the next time we have you come back, we're going to talk to you about Pachanga in Inglewood. So
one comment that I like to make, this young lady who replaced second place with Nefty, Nefty is a national program. So she's been through a lot to be able to be selected as even a second, as the second place. So kudos to the work that's being done. And you guys, again, this volunteering with the Urban League Youth Boot Camp is so very rewarding, so very, very rewarding.
Yes, it is. And so she's and when she competes in October, she will be actually, Nifty is a worldwide program. It's a global program. So there are going to be some competitors from Japan, I think China, and there are a number of other countries that they're in. So we're really excited. And she, the first place prize winner was a middle schooler. She was 14 years old and she won $2,500, had some phenomenal business ideas. I'm just so impressed. I wish our adults thought as broad as these young people do. So we could also take some lessons from them. So thank you guys so much. Thank you I know we went over a little bit, but thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next week for the Music Month. All righty. Bye-bye, everyone. You will find this video on the Community Briefing website, which is communitybriefing.com, and also on Facebook under Recycling Black Dollars. So see you guys. Make sure we're still in the pandemic. Mask up. It is a holiday weekend. Mask up, social distance. We don't want any spikes, so that we'll be all back in confinement again next month. So we want to continue our freedom. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Everybody have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, be safe. Bye-bye.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.